It's one of the great ironies of modern pop culture. The best thing to happen to Star Wars under Disney might be the show made by the guy who openly admits he doesn't care about Star Wars mythology. Tony Gilroy's Andor is a triumph of adult storytelling in a galaxy that has often been dismissed as space fantasy for kids. As Season 2 comes to a close, it's time to make a bold claim. Andor should be at the top of everyone's watch list, especially for those who claim to hate what Disney has done to Star Wars. Why? Because Andor doesn't discard what made the original trilogy great. It digs deeper into it. It doesn't simplify, sanitize, or slap a lightsaber on every scene. It expands, complicates, and humanizes. This isn't your childhood Star Wars, that's the point, and that's why it works. Much of the disdain for Disney-era Star Wars is rooted in a longing for how the original trilogy made people feel as children. For Gen Xers, the moral lines in Star Wars were clear and satisfying. The Jedi were the good guys, the Sith were the bad guys. Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo were freedom fighters standing against a clearly evil empire. Stormtroopers were faceless minions, Vader was the Dark Lord, and the Death Star was the ultimate symbol of tyranny. There were funny droids, exotic aliens, and thrilling space battles. It was pure, adventurous escapism. But that memory is frozen in amber. It doesn't reflect the more complex world we live in today, or the more nuanced way we tell stories. And for many fans, it doesn't reflect who they are now. Adults don't just want to know who the good guys are, they want to know why they're good. They want to understand what motivates the villains. They want moral tension, ambiguity, and character depth. That's not a betrayal of Star Wars, that's growth. Good storytelling evolves with its audience. In 1977, the idea of rebels fighting against a faceless empire resonated with a post-Vietnam, post-Watergate America. It was mythic and aspirational. But today, audiences have become more literate in political structures, warfare, and propaganda. Simplified morality doesn't cut it anymore. We understand that evil isn't always a cloaked figure twirling a mustache. Sometimes it's a bureaucrat pushing papers that lead to genocide. Sometimes it's a system so large that no one feels personally responsible for its horrors. This is the terrain Andor operates in. It meets the modern audience where they are, skeptical, informed, and hungry for substance. It doesn't discard the old Star Wars themes of hope and resistance. It just adds layers. Andor Season 1 redefined what a Star Wars story could be. It didn't rely on cameos or fan service. It didn't need Jedi or lightsabers. Instead, it focused on the personal cost of rebellion. Cassian Andor is not a hero in the traditional sense. He's a drifter, a survivor, a man trying to avoid choosing a side, until he realizes that the system will crush him whether he fights or not. Season 2 promises to escalate this transformation. It's about how a reluctant fighter becomes a committed rebel. And it's not just Cassian. We see how Luthen Rael sacrifices his soul for the cause, how Mon Mothma plays a dangerous political game, and how everyday people suffer under Imperial rule. The show builds a mosaic of resistance that feels raw, real, and consequential. Star Wars has always romanticized rebellion, but Andor complicates that narrative. In the real world, rebels are often branded as terrorists. The American Revolution, widely celebrated in the U.S., was filled with acts of espionage, sabotage, and asymmetric warfare. The colonial militias were not noble soldiers in uniform. They were irregulars fighting a vastly superior force with whatever means they had. Andor forces us to confront this uncomfortable truth. When the rebels blow up a garrison or assassinate an officer, it's not played for cheer. It's desperate. It's painful. It's necessary. The show doesn't glorify the violence. It contextualizes it. The Empire isn't evil because it's run by dark sorcerers. It's evil because it crushes freedom through surveillance, militarization, and fear. When we first saw stormtroopers in 1977, they were terrifying. Faceless enforcers of a galactic regime, they struck fear by sheer presence. But over time, they became cannon fodder, a joke. Gilroy restores their menace. In Andor, when troopers march into a town, you feel the dread. They aren't just goons to be mowed down. They are instruments of oppression. One scene of stormtroopers suppressing a protest in Andor carries more weight than a dozen battle scenes from recent films. It's not about spectacle, it's about tone. The Empire is once again a force to be feared, not just booed. Andor doesn't just tell us the Star Wars story we didn't know. It tells us the story we always sensed was there, but never saw. The original trilogy spoke of spies, defectors, cells of resistance. Andor puts flesh on those bones. It explores how the rebellion was built, not by destiny or prophecy, but by people making impossible choices. The beauty of Andor is that it fills in the blanks without breaking the myth. It deepens the galaxy rather than expanding it for expansion's sake. It respects the audience enough to challenge them. There's a reason why Andor resonates with adults. It doesn't insult their intelligence. It's Star Wars for people who pay taxes, work jobs, live under flawed governments, and worry about the future. Watching Andor is like revisiting your childhood home as an adult. The magic is still there, but now you notice the cracks in the drywall, the fading paint, the cost of keeping it standing. That doesn't ruin Star Wars, it enriches it. It makes the victories of Luke, Leia, and Han feel more earned. It reminds us what they were fighting against. If you think Disney doesn't understand Star Wars, give Andor a chance. It doesn't care about merchandise, memes, or mythologizing the past. It cares about telling a human story within a fantastical world. It's not about who the good guys and bad guys are. It's about what makes them so. Andor is proof that you can grow up without growing out of Star Wars, and that maybe, just maybe, Star Wars grew up with you.